Hi guys, welcome to part 12 of my video guide running the Grimoire campaign setting for Spheres of Power by Drop Dead Studios. I'm Jay, and this series was inspired by the Spheres of Power world-building semi-contest. Let's get to part 12, the Exemplar. The Exemplar is a variant of the Cleric and Witch classes. After much deliberation about how to classify the Exemplar, I've decided that my view of witches is much the same as a cleric in that they both appeal to a higher power for their magic. So with that in mind, please understand that I know that your definition of witches and clerics might be different than mine, but for the purposes of Grimoire, that's how I've chosen to classify them. All right, so an Exemplar exercises faith in an eldritch patron, be it a stranger, the soul of Athanasia itself, or some other powerful otherworldly entity, to bring about miracles which never would be possible by mortal means. She qualifies for these abilities by entering into a covenant with a being that supplies her power. This class represents the righteous prophet who serves as the instrument of her god's will, the priestess of a nature goddess who does as she will but vows to harm none, or the willing thrall of a demon who seeks to spread darkness across the land. In Athanasia, a worshipper of the light or dark joins an order and is called a priestess, or male priest. A devotee of the world soul joins a coven and is known as a witch, or male wicker. Each order and coven is different among those, even among those of the same eldritch patron, but each is commonly led by an experienced member who officiates at gatherings and admonishes members to remain faithful to their oaths. The ways an exemplar conducts herself, as well as the nature and extent of her powers, are based entirely on the terms of her oath. An exemplar's faithfulness to the oath is rewarded with an increase in power, eventually permitting her to become one with the power she serves. Such scions of strange power are called avatars. On the other hand, breaking her oath can only be interpreted as a rejection of her patron, leaving herself open to the domination of opposing forces. Such oath breakers become hags, male warlock. Spheres for exemplars. The fate sphere best characterizes the influence of the eldritch patron in the life of an exemplar. Exemplars of the light or dark must take those spheres in order for their covenants to make any sense. Exemplars of the world soul traditionally take the destruction sphere, although the creation and nature spheres are available to those with an open mind. Adapting exemplars to Grimoire, while the thaumaturge class from the Spheres of Power best fits the concept of the exemplar, the mechanics of that class doesn't capture the full scope intended here. Instead, Grimoire's exemplar can best be adapted to Spheres of Power by using a combination of the cleric domains and sorcerer bloodline class features of the incanter class. The neutrality from the fate sphere, that sphere-specific drawback is also recommended, as the eldritch patrons are neither good nor evil, but defined by their very nature and balanced by their opposites. An exemplar uses charisma for her casting ability modifier and all relevant domain and bloodline abilities. In addition, patrons offer the option of increased power at the cost of an additional sphere-specific drawback. The following packages give sample domain, bloodline, and drawback portfolios for each patron type. There may be several distinct patrons that fall under each category. I'll name those types here, but I'll put the descriptions of what the rule-specific information is for each of them down in the description below. The first is a stranger of the light, the second is a stranger of the dark, and the third is an aspect of the world soul. Aspects of the world soul include air, earth, fire, and water. In addition, there is an alternative school of thought called the Wu Qing. The Wu Qing acknowledges 5 elements instead of 4. These include earth, fire, water, metal, and wood. Those exemplars who study the Wu Qing can choose from the following portfolios in addition to earth, fire, and water, which again are listed in the description below. So metal and wood are also listed below. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about oaths. Each exemplar is bound by the oaths of her covenant, which are requirements established by her eldritch patron. Oaths function like the edicts of the samurai class from the Ultimate Combat supplement. There are traditionally 3 oaths associated with every covenant, but it is ultimately up to the GM how many to include. GMs should provide several covenant packages for their players to choose from, keeping the main plot of the campaign and the PC's character plot in mind. Should the Exemplar ever break one or more of her oaths, she becomes a hag. A hag loses the domain, bloodline, and drawback packages of her former Eldritch patron, and instead gains the package of the opposing patron. In addition, her infidelity leaves her vulnerable to the will of her new master. Some depraved Exemplars will actually make oaths to a patron with plans to break those oaths deliberately and become a hag on purpose. Now, as a GM note, deliberately breaking an oath should always trigger a plot twist or some other character development event, especially one that does not work out in the PC's favor. So moving on, for the purposes of determining which patron hags are subjected to, light traditionally opposes dark, fire opposes water, and earth opposes air. In the Wuqing, however, the aspects of the world soul actually oppose one another in a destructive cycle. In the following sequence, each element is opposed by the element listed after it: fire, water, earth, wood, metal, and then fire again. Thus, if an Exemplar of wood ever broke an oath, she would become a hag of metal, and so on. Hags and warlocks are not bound by oaths. Instead, their new patron typically subjects them to a geese, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, geese fate advanced talent. Particularly sadistic patrons command their thralls to perform an impossible task, such as filling a sieve with water and watch as they slowly wither away from ability penalties as they fail to perform it. Benevolent patrons might be more lenient and assign a task that amounts to community service for the rest of the hag's life. The geese of an Eldritch patron is more potent than that of ordinary spellcasters, even if the geese is broken through the break enchantment life talent, or the hag discovers some way to fulfill the task and recover her lost ability points. Any penalties to charisma accrued over the course of the geese can never be restored. So that concludes part 12 of our series on the Grimoire campaign setting for Spheres of Power. I hope you enjoyed the series. If you did, let me know. Go ahead and leave some comments below. Go back and watch another video, maybe one that you missed or you thought you wanted some more information about. Go ahead and leave a comment in those videos as well. And then just subscribe to my channel if you're interested in these videos in general. Leave me some comments as to what it is you think you would like the most out of these videos, because I do them for you. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you later.